Readings of Almighty God's words on the pursuit of the truth. How to pursue the truth. 12. How else has your family conditioned you? For instance, your parents often tell you, if you have a big mouth and talk rashly, sooner or later it will get you into trouble. You must remember that he who talks a lot errs a lot. What does this mean? It means that if you say too much, you will definitely end up putting your foot in your mouth. Whatever the occasion, don't speak rashly. See what everyone else says first before you say anything. If you go along with the majority, you'll be just fine. But if you always try to stand out and constantly speak rashly and reveal your point of view without knowing what your chief, boss, or everyone around you is thinking, and then it turns out that your chief or boss doesn't think the same way, then they will give you a hard time. Can any good come from that? Silly child, you must be careful in future. He who talks a lot errs a lot. Just remember that, and don't speak rashly. Mouths are for eating and breathing, sweet-talking your superiors, and trying to please others. They're not for telling the truth. You must choose your words wisely. You must employ tricks and methods, and you must use your brain. Just before the words escape your mouth, swallow them and run through them repeatedly in your mind, waiting until the time is right before saying them. What you actually say should also depend on the situation. If you start sharing your opinion, but then notice that people don't take kindly to it, or their reaction isn't so good, stop right there and think about how to say it in a way that can keep everyone happy before continuing. That's what a smart kid would do. If you do that, you'll keep out of trouble and everyone will like you. And if everyone likes you, won't that work in your favor? Won't that create more opportunities for you in future? Your family conditions you by telling you not only how to gain a good reputation, how to come out on top, and how to establish a stable foothold among others, but also how to deceive others through outward appearances and not tell the truth, much less pour forth everything that is on your mind. Some people who have come to grief after speaking the truth recall their family telling them the saying, "He who talks a lot errs a lot," and draw a lesson from it. Thereafter, they become more and more willing to practice this saying and turn it into their motto. Other people haven't come to grief, but earnestly accept the conditioning of their family in this regard, and continually put this saying into practice, whatever the occasion. The more they put it into practice, the more they feel that. My parents and grandparents are so good to me. They are all sincere toward me and want the best for me. I'm so fortunate that they told me this saying, "He who talks a lot errs a lot." Otherwise, I'd come to grief so often due to my big mouth, and so many people would give me a hard time, or cast me disdainful looks, or ridicule and mock me. This saying is so useful and beneficial. They gain a great deal of tangible benefits from putting this saying into practice. Of course, When they then come before God, they still think that this saying is a most useful and beneficial thing. Whenever a brother or sister openly fellowships about his or her personal state, corruption, or experience and knowledge, they too want to fellowship and to be a forthright and open person. And they too want to honestly talk about what they think or know in their heart, so as to temporarily relieve their state of mind, which has been stifled for so many years, or to gain some degree of freedom and release. But as soon as they recall what their parents keep drumming into them, namely, he who talks a lot errs a lot, don't speak rashly, be a listener rather than a talker, and learn to listen to others, they swallow whatever it is they wanted to say. When everyone else finishes talking, they say nothing, and instead think to themselves, "This is great. It's just as well I didn't say anything this time. Because once I'd said my piece, everyone might have formed opinions about me, and I might have lost something. It's great to say nothing. Maybe that way everyone will keep thinking that I'm honest and not so deceitful, but just a naturally taciturn person, and therefore not someone who is scheming, or someone who is so corrupt, and particularly not someone who has notions about God, but instead someone who is simple and open. It's not a bad thing for people to think of me this way, so why should I have to say anything? I'm actually seeing some results by adhering to this saying, he who talks a lot errs a lot. So, I'll keep on acting like this." Adhering to this saying gives them a nice, rewarding feeling. And so they stay silent once, twice, and on it goes until one day, when they have so many words pent up inside them and want to open up to their brothers and sisters, but their mouth feels like it's sealed and bandaged shut, and they can't get a single sentence out. Since they can't tell their brothers and sisters, they decide to try talking to God instead. So they kneel before Him and say, "God, I have something to tell you. But although they have thought it through in their heart, they don't know how to say it. They can't express it. It's as if they have become well and truly mute. They don't know how to pick the right words, or even how to string a sentence together. So many years of pent-up feelings make them feel completely stifled, and that they are living a dark and sordid life. And when they make up their mind to tell God what is in their heart and unload their feelings, they are lost for words and don't know where to start or how to say it. Are they not wretched? Why then do they have nothing to say to God? They just introduce themselves. They want to tell God what is in their heart, but they don't have the words. And in the end, all that comes out is, "God, please give me the words I ought to say." And God replies, "There is so much that you ought to say, but you don't want to say it. And you don't say it when you are given the chance. So I am taking back everything that I have given you. I won't give it to you. You don't deserve it." Only then do they feel that they have lost out on so much these past years. Although they feel that they have led a very dignified life and wrapped themselves up tightly and packaged themselves perfectly, when they see that their brothers and sisters have been making gains all this time, and when they see their brothers and sisters talking about their experiences without any qualms and opening up about their corruption. These people come to the realization that they themselves cannot say a single sentence and don't know how to. They have believed in God for so many years and want to talk about knowledge of themselves and to discuss their experience of and exposure to God's words and to get some enlightenment and a bit of light from God and to gain something. But unfortunately, because they all too frequently cling to the opinion that he who talks a lot errs a lot, and are often bound and controlled by this idea, they have lived for this saying for so many years. They have not received any enlightenment or illumination from God, and they are still poor, pitiful, and empty-handed when it comes to life entry. They have practiced this saying and idea to perfection and obeyed it to the letter. But despite having believed in God for so many years, they have not gained anything of the truth and remain poor and blind. God gave them mouths, but they have no ability whatsoever to fellowship on the truth, nor any ability to talk about their feelings and knowledge, let alone the ability to communicate with their brothers and sisters. What is more pitiful is that they don't even have the ability to talk to God and have lost such an ability. Are they not wretched? Wretched and lamentable. Do you not dislike talking? Are you not always afraid that he who talks a lot errs a lot? Then you should never say anything. You wrap up your innermost thoughts and that which God has given you, suppressing them, sealing them away, and preventing them from escaping. You are constantly afraid of losing face, afraid of feeling threatened, afraid that others will see through you, and constantly afraid that you will no longer be a perfect, honest, and good person in the eyes of others. So you wrap yourself up and say nothing about your true thoughts. And what happens in the end? You become a mute person in every sense of the word. Who did such harm to you? At the root, it was being conditioned by your family that harmed you. But from your own personal perspective, it is also because you like living by satanic philosophies. So you choose to believe that the conditioning of your family is correct, and don't believe that God's requirements for you are positive. You choose to regard the conditioning effect that your family exerts on you as a positive thing, and to regard God's words, His requirements, and His provision, help, and teaching as things to guard against, as negative things. Therefore, no matter how much God bestowed upon you at the outset, because of your guardedness and refusal all these years, the end result is that God takes back everything and gives you nothing, because you are not worthy of it. So before it comes to that, you should let go of the conditioning effect that your family exerts on you in this regard. And don't accept the erroneous idea that he who talks a lot errs a lot. This saying makes you more closed, more insidious, and more hypocritical. It is completely antithetical and contrary to God's requirement for people to be honest, and His demand that they be forthright and open. As a believer in God and a follower of God, you should be absolutely determined to pursue the truth. And when you are absolutely determined to pursue the truth, you should be absolutely determined to let go of what you imagine to be the good conditioning effects that your family exerts on you. There should be no choosing. No matter what conditioning effects your family exerts on you, no matter how good or beneficial they are for you, no matter how much they protect you, they come from people and Satan, and you should let go of them. Even though God's words and His requirements for people may conflict with the conditioning effects of your family, or even hurt your interests and strip away your rights, and even if you think that they don't protect you and are instead intended to show you up and make you look a fool, you should still regard them as positive things, because they come from God. They are the truth, and you should accept them. If the things that your family has conditioned into you have a bearing on your thinking and comportment, your outlook on existence, and the path you take, then you should let go of them and not hold fast to them. Instead, you should replace them with the corresponding truths from God. And in doing so, you should also constantly discern and recognize the inherent problems and essence of these things that your family conditioned into you. And then act and practice by following God's words more precisely, practically, and truly. Accepting ideas, views on people and things, and principles of practice that come from God. This is the duty-bound responsibility of a created being, and what a created being should do. And this is also the idea and view that a created being should possess. Parents in some families, in addition to instilling things that people think are positive and beneficial to their survival, prospects, and future, also instill some relatively extreme and warped ideas and views into their children. For example, such parents say, "Better to be a true villain than a fake gentleman." This is a saying that tells you how to comport yourself. This saying, "Better to be a true villain than a fake gentleman," makes you choose between one or the other. It makes you choose to be a true villain, that is to say, to be openly bad, rather than doing it behind people's backs. That way, even if people think that the things you do aren't so good, they will still admire you and approve of you. It means that, no matter what bad things you do, you must do them to people's faces, out in the open and candidly. Some families condition and educate their children this way. Not only do they not despise those people in society who have contemptible and vile ideas and behaviors, they even educate their children by telling them, "Don't underestimate these people. In actual fact, they are not necessarily bad people. They might even be better than fake gentlemen." In one sense, they tell you what kind of person to be, and in another sense, they also tell you how to discern people, what kind of people to regard as positive, and what kind of people to regard as negative, teaching you to discern positive things from negative things, and also teaching you how to comport yourself. This is the kind of education and conditioning they give you. So, what kind of impact does such conditioning imperceptibly have on people?
Not distinguishing between good and evil.
That's right, not distinguishing between good and evil, right and wrong. Let's first take a look at how human beings view so-called villains and fake gentlemen. First of all, humans think that true villains are not bad people, and that those who truly are fake gentlemen are bad people. The kind of people who do bad things behind others' backs while outwardly pretending to be good are called fake gentlemen. They talk all about benevolence, righteousness, and morality to people's faces, but get up to all sorts of bad things behind their backs. They do all this bad stuff while at the same time saying all sorts of nice things. People like this are objects of scorn. As for true villains, they are just as bad to people's faces as they are behind their backs, and yet they have become role models to be championed and studied, rather than becoming objects of people's scorn. This kind of saying and view tends to confuse people's concepts of what exactly a good person is and what exactly a bad person is. And so people are not sure and do not know, and their concepts become very vague. When family conditions people in this way, some of them even think, by being a true villain, I am being upstanding. I'm doing things out in the open. If I have something to say, I tell it to your face. If I harm you, or don't like you, or want to take advantage of you, I must also do it to your face and let you know about it. Just what kind of logic is this? Just what kind of nature essence is this? When evil people do bad things and commit evil deeds, they need to find a theoretical basis for it, and this is the logic they come up with. They say, look, this thing I'm doing isn't so good, but it's better than being a fake gentleman. I do it to people's faces and everyone knows about it. That's called being upstanding. Thus, villains make themselves out to be upstanding people. With this kind of thinking in people's minds, their concepts of true integrity and true evil are imperceptibly blurred. They don't know what it is to be upstanding, and they think, it doesn't matter whether what I say hurts others, or whether it is right or not, whether it is reasonable or not, or whether it accords with principles and the truth or not. As long as I dare to speak and don't care about the consequences, and as long as I have a true disposition, a straightforward nature, and am as straight as a die, and as long as I don't harbor any insidious aims, then it's appropriate. Is this not a case of inverting right and wrong? This way, negative things are turned into positive things. Some people therefore use this as a basis and comport themselves according to this saying, and even assume that justice is on their side, thinking, in any case, I'm not taking advantage of you, nor playing tricks behind your back. I'm doing things candidly and out in the open. You think what you like. To me, this is being upstanding. As the saying goes, one needn't worry about rumors if one is upright, so think whatever you want. Is this not the logic of Satan? Is it not the logic of robbers? Is it justified for you to do bad things, make trouble for no reason, act like a tyrant, and commit evil? Committing evil is committing evil. If the essence of what you do is committing evil, then evil is what it is. What are your actions measured by? They are not measured by whether you had your motives, or whether you did them out in the open, or whether you have a true disposition. They are measured by the truth and by God's words. The truth is the criterion for measuring everything, and that sentence applies perfectly in this case. According to the measure of the truth, if something is evil, then it is evil. If something is positive, then it is positive. If something is not positive, then it is not positive. And what are these things that people think of as upstanding and having a true disposition and a straightforward nature? That's called twisting words and forcing logic, confusing concepts, and talking nonsense. It's called misguiding people. And if you misguide people, then you are committing evil. Regardless of whether it is committed behind people's backs or to their faces, evil is evil. Evil committed behind someone's back is wickedness, whereas evil committed in front of someone's face is truly malicious and vicious, but they all relate to evil. So tell me, should people accept this saying, better to be a true villain than a fake gentleman? Which is positive, the behavioral principles of a fake gentleman or the behavioral principles of a true villain?
Neither.
That's right. They are all negative. So, don't be a fake gentleman, nor a true villain, and don't listen to your parents' nonsense. Why do parents always spout nonsense? Because this is exactly how your parents comport themselves. They constantly feel that. I have a true disposition, I'm a true person, I'm forthright, I'm honest about my feelings, I'm a chivalrous person, I am upright and needn't worry about rumors. I behave decently and walk the right path. What do I have to fear? I don't do anything wrong, so I'm not afraid of demons knocking on my door. Demons aren't knocking on your door right now, but you have committed no shortage of evil deeds and will be punished sooner or later. You are upright and fear no rumors. But what does being upright represent? Isn't the truth? Does being upright mean conforming to the truth? Do you understand the truth? Don't think up excuses and pretexts for your own evil doing. It's pointless. As long as it doesn't conform to the truth, it is evil. You even feel that you have a true disposition. Just because you have a true disposition, does it mean that you can take advantage of others? Or that you can harm others? What logic is this? This is called the logic of robbers and devils. You commit evil, and yet you make out that it is something right and proper, and make excuses for it and seek to justify it. Is this not shameless? I tell you again, that in God's words, there is never any mention of letting people be a true villain or a fake gentleman, nor any such requirement to be a true villain or a fake gentleman. These sayings are all blatant lies to deceive and mislead people. They can mislead people who do not understand the truth. But if you understand the truth today, you should no longer hold fast to such sayings or be influenced by them. Whether people are fake gentlemen or true villains, they are all devils, beasts, and scoundrels. They are all no good. They are all wicked, and they are all associated with evil. If they're not wicked, then they are vicious. And the only difference between a fake gentleman and a true villain lies in the manner of their performance. One performs in public and the other in secret. Also, they have different ways of conducting themselves. One does evil openly, while the other plays dirty tricks behind people's backs. One is more insidious and treacherous, while the other is more overbearing, domineering, and bares their fangs. One is more sordid and stealthy, while the other is more despicable and arrogant. They happen to be two satanic ways of doing things, one open and one covert. If you act openly, you are a true villain. And if you act covertly, you are a fake gentleman. What is there to brag about? If you regard this saying as your motto, are you not foolish? So, if you have been deeply harmed by the things that your family has conditioned or instilled into you in this regard, or if you are holding fast to such things, I hope you can let go of them, discern and see through them as soon as possible. Stop clinging to this saying and thinking that it is protecting you or making you into a genuine person or someone with character, humanity, and a true disposition. This saying is not a standard for how one should comport oneself. From where I stand, I strongly condemn this saying, which disgusts me more than anything. I am disgusted not only by fake gentlemen, but also by true villains. Both kinds of people are objects of disgust to me. So, if you are a fake gentleman, then from my perspective, you are no good, and you are beyond remedy. But if you are a true villain, then you are even worse off. You are well aware of the true way, and yet deliberately sin. You clearly know the truth, yet blatantly violate it and fail to practice it. And instead, you openly oppose the truth, so you will die faster. Don't think, I have a straightforward nature. I am not a fake gentleman. Although I am a villain, I am a true villain. How are you true? Your trueness is not the truth, nor is it a positive thing. Your trueness is the manifestation of the essence of your arrogant and vicious dispositions. You are true as in true Satan, true devils, and true viciousness, rather than true as in the truth or something that is truly real. So, when it comes to this saying, better to be a true villain than a fake gentleman that your family conditions into you. You should also let go of it, because it has no connection whatsoever with the principles of comportment that God teaches people, nor does it even come anywhere close to them. Therefore, you should let go of it as soon as possible, rather than continuing to cling on to it. Family exerts another kind of conditioning effect. For example, your family members always tell you, don't be someone who stands out too much from the crowd. You must rein yourself in and exercise a little restraint in your words and actions, as well as in your personal talents, abilities, IQ, and so on. Don't be that person who stands out. It's like the sayings go, the bird that sticks its neck out is the one that gets shot. And the rafter that sticks out is the first to rot. If you want to protect yourself and have a long-term and stable place in the group you belong to, don't be the bird that sticks its neck out. You should rein yourself in and not aspire to rise above everyone. Think about the lightning rod, which is the first thing to be struck in a storm, because lightning strikes the highest point. And when the wind is blowing a gale, the tallest tree is the first to take its brunt and get blown over. And when the weather is cold, the tallest mountain is the first to freeze over. It's the same with people. If you always stick out among others and draw attention, and the party notices you, it will seriously consider punishing you. Don't be the bird that sticks its neck out. Don't fly solo. You should stay inside the flock. Otherwise, If any social protest movement formed around you, you would be the one who gets punished first, because you are the bird that sticks out. Don't be a leader or a group head in the church. Otherwise, in the event of any work-related losses or problems in God's house, as the leader or supervisor, you will be the first to be singled out. So don't be the bird that sticks its neck out, because the bird that sticks its neck out is the one that gets shot. You must learn to tuck in your head and cower like a tortoise. You remember these words from your parents, and when the time comes to choose a leader, you decline the position saying, "Oh, I cannot do it. I have a family and children. I'm too tied up with them. I can't be a leader. You guys should do it. Don't choose me." Supposing you are elected as leader anyway, you are still reluctant to do it. "I'm afraid I must resign," you say. "You guys be the leader. I'm giving you all the opportunity. I'm letting you take the position. I'm stepping aside." You ponder in your heart, the bird that sticks its neck out is the one that gets shot. The higher you climb, the harder you fall, and it's lonely at the top. I'll let you be the leader, and after you get chosen, a day will come when you will make a spectacle of yourself. I never want to be a leader. I don't want to climb the ladder, which means that I won't fall from a great height. Think about it. Wasn't so-and-so dismissed as leader? After being dismissed, he was expelled. He didn't even get the chance to be an ordinary believer. It's a perfect example of those sayings. The bird that sticks its neck out is the one that gets shot, and the rafter that sticks out is the first to rot. Am I not right? Was he not punished? People must learn to protect themselves. Otherwise, what do people have brains for? If you have a brain in your head, you must use it to protect yourself. Some people can't see this issue clearly, but that's how it is in society and in any group of people. The bird that sticks its neck out is the one that gets shot. You'll be very well regarded while you are sticking your neck out, right up until the moment you get shot. Then, you'll realize that people who put themselves in the firing line get their comeuppance sooner or later. These are the earnest teachings of your parents and family, and also the voice of experience, the distilled wisdom of their lifetime, which they whisper into your ear without reservation. What do I mean by whisper into your ear? I mean that one day your mother says in your ear, "Let me tell you, if there's one thing I've learned in this life, it's that the bird that sticks its neck out is the one that gets shot." Which means that if someone sticks out too much or draws too much attention, they're likely to be punished for it. See how subdued and guileless your dad is now. It's because he was punished in some campaign of suppression. Your dad has literary talent. He can write and give speeches. He has leadership skills. But he stood out from the crowd too much and ended up being punished in the campaign. How come, ever since then, your dad never talks about being a government official and a high-profile figure? It's because of that. I'm speaking to you from the heart and telling you the truth. You must listen and remember it well. Don't forget, you must keep it in mind wherever you go. This is the best thing I can give you as your mother. Thereafter, you remember her words, and whenever you recall the saying, "The bird that sticks its neck out is the one that gets shot." It reminds you of your father And whenever you think of him, you think of this saying. Your father was once the bird that stuck its neck out and got shot, and now his downbeat and dispirited look has left a deep impression on your mind. So whenever you want to stick your neck out, whenever you want to speak your mind, whenever you want to sincerely fulfill your duty in God's house, your mother's heartfelt advice in your ear, the bird that sticks its neck out is the one that gets shot, comes to mind again. So once again you shrink back, thinking, I cannot show any talents or special abilities. I must restrain myself and stifle them. And as for God's exhortation for people to put all their heart, mind, and strength into performing their duty, I must practice these words in moderation and not stand out by trying too hard. If I stand out by trying too hard and stick my neck out by leading the church's work, what if something goes wrong with the work of God's house and I am held responsible? How should I bear this responsibility? Will I be cleared out? Will I become the scapegoat, the bird that stuck its neck out? In God's house, it's hard to say how these matters will turn out. So regardless of what I do, I absolutely must leave myself an escape route. I absolutely must learn to protect myself and ensure that I cover all my bases before I speak and act. This is the wisest course of action, because as my mother says, the bird that sticks its neck out is the one that gets shot. This saying is deeply implanted in your heart and also has a profound influence on your daily life. More seriously, of course, it affects your attitude toward performing your duty. Are there not serious problems here? Therefore, whenever you perform your duty and want to expend yourself sincerely and to wholeheartedly utilize all your strength, this saying, the bird that sticks its neck out is the one that gets shot, always stops you in your tracks. And in the end, you always choose to leave yourself some leeway and room for maneuver, and only do your duty in a measured way after leaving an escape route for yourself. Am I not right? Does your family's conditioning in this regard protect you to the greatest extent from being exposed and dealt with? For you, it is another talisman, is it not? Based on all that we have fellowshipped on thus far, how many talismans do people have as a result of their family's conditioning?
7.
With so many talismans, is it true that no ordinary devils and demons dare encroach on you? All these talismans make you feel so safe, so comforted, and so happy living in this human world. At the same time, they make you feel how important family is to you, and how timely and important the protection and talismans that your family gives to you are. Whenever you obtain tangible benefits and protection as a result of these talismans, you feel more than ever that family is important and that you will always depend on it. Whenever you encounter difficulties and are racked by indecision and bewilderment, you collect yourself for a moment and think, what did my mother and father tell me? What skills did my elders teach me? What was the motto they passed on to me? You quickly, instinctively, and subconsciously fall back on the various ideas and environments instilled into you by your family, seeking and demanding their protection. At such times, family becomes your safe haven, an anchor, a support, and a driving force that is always strong, unshakable and unchanging. A psychological crutch that enables you to keep on living and stops you from being bewildered and indecisive. At times like these, you are filled with deep feeling. Family is so very important to me. It gives me such immense mental strength, as well as being a source of spiritual support. You often congratulate yourself by thinking, "It's fortunate that I listened to what my parents told me. Otherwise, I would have ended up in a very embarrassing situation by now, being either bullied or hurt. Fortunately, I have this trump card. I have a talisman." So even in God's house and in the church, even during the course of performing my duties, I will not be bullied by anyone, and I will not run the risk of being cleared out or handled by the church. These things might never happen to me, thanks to the protection that the conditioning of my family gives me. But you have forgotten something. You have been living in what you imagine to be an environment with talismans and in which you can protect yourself, but you don't know whether you have fulfilled God's commission or not. You have ignored God's commission to you and ignored your identity as a created being and the duty you should fulfill as a created being. You have also ignored the attitude you should adopt and all that you should offer up in performing your duty, while the true outlook on life and values that you ought to cherish have been replaced with the views that your family has conditioned into you, and your chances of salvation are also impacted and influenced by your family's conditioning. Therefore, it is very important for everyone to let go of the various conditioning effects of their family. This is one aspect of the truth that must be practiced, and it is also a reality that should be entered into without delay. Because if society tells you something, you are likely to make a rational or subconscious decision to reject it. If a stranger or someone unrelated to you tells you something, you tend to make a rational or measured decision to accept it or not. But if your family tells you something, you tend to accept it entirely without hesitation or discernment. And this is actually a dangerous thing for you, because you think that the family can never do any harm to a person, and that everything your family does for you is for your own good, to protect you, and for your own sake. Based on this assumed principle, people are easily disturbed and influenced by these intangible and tangible things that are one's family. The tangible things are one's family members and all the family's affairs, while the intangible things are the various ideas and education that come from family, as well as some conditioning to do with how you should comport yourself and conduct your own affairs. Is it not so? There is a lot to discuss as regards the conditioning effects of family. After we finish fellowshipping on these things today, you should contemplate them all and summarize them, thinking about which ideas and views, besides those that I mentioned today, might afflict you in your daily life. Most of what we have fellowshipped on just now relates to people's principles and ways of dealing with the world, and there are a small number of topics that relate to how people view others and things. The scope of the conditioning effects that family exerts on people basically encompasses these things. There are also some issues that don't relate to people's outlook on life or ways of dealing with the world, so we won't say any more about those. Here ends our fellowship for today then. Until next time.